welcome back to our writing project where we are writing a non-chronological report about an animal. This is lesson 5. Now in last lesson we looked at how to write the appearance section of our non-chronological report, and you should now have this written in your books. Today we will be writing the next section, the diet section. So before we do that, we're going to take a look at our model text of the platypus text. So I have on screen now the diet section. I'll read that with you and then we can decide on the vocabulary and the sentence structures that we're going to magpie to use in our original non-chronological reports. So follow this as I read it. So we have our subheading diet. Locating their prey by sifting through mud on the riverbed, these mammals feed on shrimps, small fish and the larvae of aquatic insects like dragonflies. So let's take a look at this very long sentence. At the start, we have a fronted adverbial, locating their prey by sifting through mud on the riverbed. We could change this for any animal really. Locating means finding. So basically finding their prey by sifting through mud on the riverbed. I'm going to be writing a model one about a lion, and I think I'll change that by saying locating their prey by hiding and pouncing, right? These mammals or these big cats, and then that's how I'm going to steal that. If you don't have a carnivore, you could maybe say locating their food by climbing through the trees. If you have an animal which eats leaves in the trees, or if you have a bird, locating their food by flying above in search for something to eat. That is, if you want to choose this, you could do that. And then the feature that I really like is the fact we have a list with commas. And I expect most people to be doing that because you can all think of at least 3 things that your animal eats. And you could get rid of that fronted adverbial and we could have just said, these mammals feed on, shrimps, small fish and the larvae of aquatic insects like dragonflies. Let's look at the next sentence now. Another long sentence. Furthermore. Furthermore means and another thing. You could also say in addition. Furthermore, platypuses also catch some prey in their bills while swimming through the water. And the last sentence, because platypuses must consume, that means eat, 20% of their body weight daily, they spend approximately 12 hours per day foraging for food, so looking for food. This sentence, what has happened is, we've got a subordinate clause at the start, because platypuses must consume 20% of their body weight daily. You could have said, they spend approximately 12 hours per day foraging for food because platypuses must consume 20% of their body weight daily. This is just an example of how you can start a sentence with in a different way. Okay, we're going to now look at how we can write one of these. Now, I have got on the bottom here an example of some notes which I made about lions. So the diet, what lions eat. Medium-sized to large hoofed animals like wildebeests, zebras and antelopes. Occasionally larger animals. Occasionally means sometimes, especially sick or injured ones. And then they rarely eat meat found such as carrion. If you don't know what carrion is, carrion means an animal that's just died, so dead animals. So lions will very rarely, sometimes they will eat carrion if they're really hungry. So let's begin writing this. So I'm going to steal that sentence from the platypus. So locating means finding. Locating their prey by hiding and waiting. Lions, so I've got a fronted adverbial there. Locating their prey by hiding and waiting. Lions feed on, and then I'm going to have a list with a colon. fact, feed on medium-sized hoofed animals, and then I'm going to use a colon when I'm going to have such as, like that. And you have a comma before such as. So, locating their prey by hiding and waiting. That's the fronted adverbial. Lions feed on medium-sized hoofed, and I've missed out ed, animals such as wildebeests, zebras, and antelopes. Remember, if your creature doesn't eat meat, if it's a herbivore, then you could list, for example, you could list the fruit. So, locating their food by climbing through the trees, monkeys feed on fruits such as bananas, berries, and pineapples. That's just an example of what you could say for a creature which doesn't eat meat. Now, I'm going to use another fronted adverbial, occasionally. Occasionally is a great fronted adverbial if you can't think of one, and it means sometimes. Occasionally, these big cats, that means lions. Rather than keep saying lions over and over, I've said big cats. These big cats feast on. Feast on is another word for eat. Feast on larger creatures, and then especially sick or injured ones. So look, we've got a fronted adverbial and we've got an adverbial at the end. We could just say, these big cats feed on larger creatures, but it's occasionally, fronted adverbial with a comma, these big cats feast on larger creatures, especially sick or injured ones. I imagine that might be talking about things like giraffes and elephants. They can't normally kill one of those if it's healthy, but if it's sick or injured, then they can. Now, it says, rarely eat meat such as carrion. In times of food scarcity. Now, food scarcity means that there is not very much food. In times of food scarcity, such as a drought is when there is no rain, lions feed on carrion. So that means dead animals. So let's look at what we've written. You always check it before you finish. Locating their prey by hiding and waiting, lions feed on medium-sized hoofed animals such as wildebeests, zebras, and antelopes. Occasionally, these big cats feast on larger creatures, especially sick or injured ones. In times of food scarcity, such as drought, lions feed on carrion. Now, I've just realised I've used feed on twice, and I don't like to repeat myself, so I'm just going to put eat. I could also say consume, I could also say hunt. And in times of food scarcity such as drought, and I'm going to add may. May means might, sometimes. In times of food scarcity such as a drought, lions may eat carrion. You can see there, I only have 3 sentences. I've used a couple of adverbials. I've reread my text to make sure that I haven't repeated myself and that it makes sense. And that is my diet section finished. So I'd like you to follow my example of how I did that, and then I cannot wait to see your examples when you have done those. So thank you for watching, and I will see you for next lesson when we write about the habitat of our creatures. Bye for now.